Hello, Alex. Thank you for your time.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. Really good, thank you. Yeah.
Good. Well, I appreciate first and foremost you giving up your time this afternoon to do this. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And my intention behind today is very transparent. It's simply to share your journey over the last few months working together in the hope that it will be able to help somebody else who is potentially thinking about investing in themselves. Whether or not that's working with me doesn't really make a difference. I just want to share your story in the hope that it helps one or more people. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. So we'll jump on in. There's a couple of questions, very, very informal. And yeah, feel free to answer them how you please. So why don't you, yeah, let's start at the beginning. Let's cast your mind back to a few months ago before we started working together. And
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind, in your own words, why don't you tell everybody what your life was like before working with me?
Okay. So that question in itself is actually really, really hard because I almost can't remember what life was like before. But what I do remember is feeling like I was out of control. I just didn't know what to do. I knew that I was just being a bit vulnerable here. I knew I was choosing to drink to kind of hide away from my problems, and that actually I'd got to a stage where I was just drinking too much and not kind of getting crazy or out of control or anything particularly, but just there were times when I was reaching for a glass of wine or a beer, and it ended up into being drinking a bottle of wine on Tuesday night,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought, ooh, I'm not out of control, particularly in terms of how much I'm drinking, but that's a lot more than I would normally drink on a Tuesday night on my own.
Okay.
So what was going on in my world, kind of busy at work and quite stressful. I have run a leadership business, a leadership consultancy, and just busy really, trying to win leads and work and kind of, do all of those amazing things that you do as a business sort of owner. And then I just felt like I wasn't looking after myself, treating myself right. I knew I'd stop doing all of those little things that kind of kept me a bit sane, or that little bit of self-care that that you should be doing, but all of that stuff just got dropped to just manage the kind of craziness really.
Mm.
And then coming home, as I said, opening a bottle of wine or whatever and just trying to hide, I think, actually. And I genuinely can't really remember how I was feeling, other than kind of quite angry at myself and um, frustrated that I couldn't find a solution. And, I'm a sort of solution person in my role, in my job. So, like, how am I not able to sort of take my own advice, actually?
Mhm.
So I knew I needed to reach out to someone, and luckily I reached out to you.
Yes, thank you. There's thousands of people you could have chosen. Yeah, and it's been an honor to work with you over the
Oh,
last few months. I really mean that. And
no.
I also want to say thank you for being very vulnerable. These video testimonials, they're great. But behind it, it's just two human beings, and I think from my work alone, there are hundreds of people that are currently struggling with those things or have struggled with them in the past. So I just want to say thank you for being very open and vulnerable. So I'm really curious to know, what was it sort of, yeah, what was the catalyst that made you think, enough's enough, I need to reach out for this? Was there a particular thing that happened? Maybe something that you can remember that you just thought, no, that's it, I'm doing something about this.
I think it was that night where I did that, sort of drank a bottle of wine, and then the next night I drank another bottle of wine and went, oh, that's too many. That's too
Mm,
much. And also I'd sort of got to the point where I didn't have any more solutions to fix this.
mhm,
I just couldn't find. I mean, I'm a coach myself. I know all of the sort of strategies and toolkits and things, but I just know that I needed help. I wasn't going to do it on my own. I didn't feel I was able to do it on my own. I tried what I felt was everything to to get myself back on track of going back to the gym and not drinking and looking after my weight and all of these different things that I was absolutely beating myself up about not being able to do. And I just knew I needed someone to kind of hold me a bit accountable to this and just listen and hear me and help give me something else. I felt needed
Okay.
someone else.
Yeah, and I often find, working with clients, there's usually a catalyst. There's usually something where people are just, I'm just fed up with this. Something has to give. That's why I was curious to ask. So again, thanks for being very transparent. Okay, so you and I spent a few months together. You worked with myself in the Self-Sabotage to Self-Advancement program. So
Yes.
yeah, why don't you share how the program helped?
So the program in itself was really simple to understand in a beautiful way. It was complex concepts, but delivered in a really beautiful, easy way to understand. The best bit about the coaching, or best bit about the whole program, is the one-to-one coaching with you, Sean. It just allowed me that opportunity to just let all the stuff that was going on in my head out, and you to just help me through that. And I think it was the way it's broken down into 3 sections, and there were little easy activities that, I've been on coaching courses before and you think, oh, I don't want to do that activity. I don't want to do it. But there's something quite compelling about your program because it's so kind of compassionate, and it's teaching you how to be compassionate about yourself. And it's actually it's like a little hug. It's like a kind of really nice little, I don't know how you do it, but I just thought it was brilliant. And to have the kind of Slack community is there as well, and then your other coaches in the background as well to help when you weren't, when I wasn't having a one-to-one with you, I could call on them as well. It just felt like whenever I needed someone, there was someone there, basically. And I think it's just that simplicity of such complex mindset and behavioral sort of things that we as human beings do, but broken down into such little chunks and so easy to understand, that I think is the best thing.
Thank you. I've never had anyone describe it as it's like a hug, but I'll take that. Thank you. That's lovely. I'll remember that next time I'm on a call. So someone asked me, "How's the program?" Now, someone described it as it's like a little hug. No, but thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, no, that means a lot. And of course, I'm biased. I think the program's great, but it's only as good as the results. So I appreciate your transparency, and I also would like to know, of course, when you started working with us, you were, as you mentioned, the relationship you were drinking a little more than you'd like, etc. Has any of that changed?
Well, I'm blooming hope so. Yeah, it absolutely has. Yeah. So I have a much better relationship with drinking now. So it wasn't for me about giving up drinking, although I did for a part, sort of just to know I could. But actually now I'm able to have that glass of wine if I want it, and it not be that needed thing. It's now me back in control. So I'm enjoying the alcohol and the food much more than I was before. I was hiding behind it and trying to use it as emotional comfort support. But now, because of the tools and techniques that the program's given me about mindset and understanding that even more, I can choose different things that are much more about self-care, basically, and then go back to enjoying food and drink for what it should be, which is just fuel, but also that enjoyable sort of kind of friendly thing, or rather than something that I ended up being hiding, actually, and frustrated with and slightly disgusted in myself about.
Well, listen,
So
no one's perfect, we're all
no.
But no,
Well, that's the other thing, actually. Can I just add, it just reminds you that you don't need to be perfect, and that there's the whole forgiveness section is so beautiful, because you think it's all fine, and you think you kind of forgiven yourself for stuff, or that's not the problem, but actually it is. It really is so important to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you think you've made, or that you are making in your world. And that's what I mean by the hug, is that it's like you're kind of just letting it's taking the stress away. It's giving yourself permission to be human and not to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then some of the other benefits for me is that I feel like me again. I feel like I'm confident again, and that I'm able to have, you know, what I want when I want, but I'm back in control. And that's not capturing everything, because there's so much more. I am like a different person, or more importantly, actually, I'm like how I was before all of this. And it doesn't mean I'm perfect and that I'm going to the gym all the time or doing all these different things that I would like to do. But I just don't beat myself up about it as much.
Yeah.
And I feel able to be in control and not sabotage myself anymore.
Giving me goosebumps. Thank
Oh,
you. No, I sincerely mean it. You know, as a fellow coach, you know, we're only as good as the results that we help our clients get. And just hearing you talk about the program like this, and knowing the fact that you've been through it, you've, you know, utilized the resources, the tools, and it's helped. That means a lot to me. It really does. And not only that, you know, we of course have worked together. I would now class you as a friend, and I'm looking forward to finally meeting up and getting that coffee in the future. And this is, you know, this would never have been possible if you didn't ultimately just think, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to get some outside support. So I just want to share that with you. So really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only other question I have really is, you know, we get a lot of people. I speak to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people on the fence, like, oh, I want to try it. I'm not sure if it'll work. You know, I'm not sure the coaching industry, etc., etc. So just in your own words, you know, what advice would you have for people who potentially are on the fence and they are thinking about working with me, or maybe even another coach? You know, yeah, what advice would you have for them?
So I personally think coaching is one of the most powerful things, because it's like you've got this person who's completely on your side for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it might be, and you don't understand the freedom that it brings you to just talk about you just for an hour and get everything that you need to get off your chest without you having to go, so how are you, what about your day? It can be really about you, and it sounds almost selfish, but oh my god, it's amazing. It's just this beautiful thing that just allows you space and time to really think about what you actually want, what you need, and what actions you're going to put into your life. If you're on the fence about it, I just say, just try it. You just don't know until you try things. So just try it. And if it doesn't work out, I'm sorry, probably shouldn't say this, Sean, but I'm sure you'll figure something out. You know?
Yeah, no, you can say what you want. You know, we have this relationship, but you're right. You know, and a lot of the times people, they're scared of, you know, making mistakes, and because of that, they won't make any decisions. But not making a decision in itself is a decision. And I would sooner, and this is me talking from my experience, I would sooner try something and then know that it didn't work and I tried, rather than get to 10, 15 years down the line and look back and have that regret, thinking, I wish I would have tried something.
When it comes to self-sabotage, you have to do something at some point. Your life will sort that out for you. Something will happen that will force your hand. So choose a coach earlier than having to sort something out later on in your life when you wish you'd done it earlier, basically, is my advice. And you just, it might not work out, but just try. And it's so unlikely. I haven't had any clients ever, for me or my team, or with when I've been a coach, where it hasn't worked out, at least somewhat in the end.
Yeah.
And I know it can be a big investment, but all I would say is that for me, working with you, one of the best investments I've ever done in my life. And just don't let yourself hold yourself back from that. Invest in yourself, because it's so important to give yourself this time, and you won't even know what you can achieve once you've given yourself that time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's lovely advice. Thank you very much. yeah, I guess that's it really. There's no other questions. I just want to again say thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. And yeah, as I said, I'm sure this won't be the last time we see of one another.
That would be great. Can't wait for the coffee. And yeah, just wanted to say good luck to all of the people who you're going to be working with in future. You lucky things.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks.
Thank you.